and we are truly now bringing it on home. And I want to take a moment to say that, first of all, to thank all of you on this call who've stayed with us throughout the day. It's been a journey. We hope it's been so meaningful, and we have two last important pieces to do with you. I am so pleased to welcome back Dr. Ken Dychtwald and Dr. Jay Olshansky, and we're going to bring them back with us right now. Hello, Jay. Good to see you again. And hello, Ken. Good to see you again. Welcome back. Just to tee this up for a moment for our audience, Jay and Ken have been brought back in order to just share with us what might be top of mind, burning takeaways they want us to leave with, challenges, next steps. But once again, to bring it on home, I'm going to read one short poem because I think it builds beautifully off Co-Generate, and to bring Ken and Jay back into the room. This is called Shoulders by Naomi Shihab Nye. A man crosses the street in the rain, stepping gently, looking 2 times north and south because his son is asleep on his shoulder. No car must splash him. No car drive too near to his shadow. This man carries the world's most sensitive cargo, but he's not marked. Nowhere does his jacket say, fragile, handle with care. His ears fill up with breathing. He hears the hum of a boy's dream deep inside him. We're not going to be able to live in this world if we're not willing to do what he's doing with one another. The road will only be wide. The rain will never stop falling. A wide road, no maps, and yet the metaphor of caring so much for each other. Let's start with just taking a moment, either Ken or Jay, as you think about what you've already shared with us. What might be a challenge, a charge regarding longevity, regarding all of us on this call who are real field practitioners? We're in the trenches. We're committed to this work. Ken, I might begin with you.
Yeah, and for transparency, Jay and I were just briefed about what we've missed over the last several hours. So that doesn't mean we know all the details, but we have a bit of a sense for all the terrific stuff you guys have been covering. So fabulous. I've written just a couple of notes. First of all, we are in the midst of a unprecedented longevity revolution. This has never happened before. We can't look back in biblical times or in the 1930s or in the Renaissance to say, how was this handled then? It didn't happen then. It's happening now, which means that we are the pathfinders. Second, we've got a serious course correction. I just got some stats in a call I was just on that I correct the numbers from earlier, that there are 38 countries in the world that live longer than we do in the United States. And there are 68 countries in the world that have a higher health span than we do. So shame on us. Next, the idea of what is the purpose of elders or older adults, and hats off, because I know that I upset a few people in that I might have given the impression that there's not good work already going on. What I tried to emphasize, it's not been scaled. It's not the way that 21st century is being referred to. It's not what every presidential candidate wants to talk about. It's not what families reflect on. We've got to take it up to a higher level. Next, communality. I was thinking of 2 wonderful examples. One is back in the 80s, there was a futuristic TV show. No, it was not the Jetsons, it was the Golden Girls, where unfortunately after World War II, we got the idea that we're all better off if we're independent. What Maggie Kuhn, my mentor, head of the Grey Panthers, taught me was that interdependence is a better path for a 5-6 generation society. And although Golden Girls is only 2 generations, but the best example I could probably give are the kibbutzim. And maybe we need to bring them back to the United States. because there's a lot of young people, a lot of older people that are alone or disconnected and would benefit from an intergenerational community that's intentional and proud of itself. And last, and this is more just me being myself, which is a bit of a renegade wise guy, is the purpose of the Jewish religion to look back, or is the purpose to lead forward? And I would say both. But if it's 80-20, we're missing out on all the intelligence, all the wealth, all the talent, all the networking, all the power of our community. And I think the world would benefit from a constituency that could look forward and give examples and make them happen. What about you, Jay?
Yeah, goodness. There's a couple of things I want to talk about, and I'm going to end with a quote, one of my favorite quotes. But so I actually want to mention biology for a minute, if you don't mind. And there's a reason why I want to do this. And this comes up during presentations that I give all the time about, what we've done to ourselves, making us live so long. This is a good thing. It's a bad thing. We've created, we've created this world where we get to see things that we ordinarily wouldn't see. It's like driving your car for 200,000 miles. Well, what do you think is going to happen? Body parts and car parts aren't really made to last that long. So one of the basic biology messages that I'd like to get across is to recognize that most of what goes wrong with us as we get older isn't our fault. There's a tendency to blame people for their knees going out, their hips going out, for cardiovascular disease, for cancer, for dementia. Sure, there are things that you can do to lower the risk. There are things that you can do to enhance your health and quality of life. But for the most part, we are pushing out the envelope of human survival into age windows where we get to see the consequences of aging for the first time. So it's important to realize that aging is all about adaptation. I mean, look, adaptations are all around us. These are an adaptation, right? Using these glasses, several hundred years ago when people didn't have glasses, they made it out to older ages, they couldn't see. I had a cataract replaced not long ago. Talk about a miracle technology that, allows you to retain that vision. Problems with teeth, internal organs, knees, hips, knees and hips really were not made to last as long as we operate them. So there's all, so the message I want to get across is that when things start to go wrong or things start to change, probably is the better way to say it, that we have to learn better on how to adapt and accept the changes that occur in us as we get older. We have to accept them. I can't run anymore. I was a runner for decades. I've now accepted the fact that that's a risk factor for problems for me. So I've replaced it with something else. So aging, really, we have to be really adaptive in our approach to aging. And that's the biology message. And I want to end with this one quote, if you don't mind.
Please.
The sun rises and sets, seasons change, leaves fall to the ground. The earth revolves around the sun. The North Star always points north. And creatures like humans, dogs, mice, and elephants are born, grow up, grow old, and eventually die. The laws of nature that drive the biological functioning of our bodies operate with regularity, like clocks ticking in the background or the beat of our heart beneath our chest. There's a comforting cadence to the rhythms of life, especially if we are attuned to their existence, and even if, quite frankly, it never seems to end well. But even with discrete bookends marking the beginning and ending of our lives, it's the quality and length of our journey through life that matters most, not the nature of our entrance and exit from it. And I think that's a very powerful message. And I actually hear that or something similar, when I went to my kids' bar and bat mitzvah, and I'm about to hear it, in a couple of years with my grandkids' bar and bat mitzvah. So anyway, I'm going to end there, and I will, but by the way, show you the book that I talked about earlier, Beautiful Theorems That Changed Math, from Hyun-Sung Lee.
Yes.
It was the word beautiful that caught my attention. And that's what convinced me to convince him to write the book.
I love that. And what an example of co-generational partnership, Janet. That's a book, a young boy really that Jay had mentored, and he ended up writing this book. This is what I want to name as we bring this to a close, because I realize, that this has been quite a journey today, which is adaptation, acceptance, imagination, reimagination, not knowing, many, many themes. Ken, Jay, I want to thank you for coming back just so we can, close out. And please hang on, everybody, for one more moment, because Stuart Himmelfarb is going to come back to talk about next steps. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Jay. And Stuart, over to you.